Greetings. My name is Dr. Agustín García, and I am a transfer navigator in the Transfer Center at Texas State University. Today, I'll be discussing my research and how it connects to my teaching and professional practice, particularly as it relates to community colleges. For the overview of my presentation, it will be broken down into three main parts. First, I'll discuss my research focus as it situates in community colleges. Then I'll discuss my teaching translation, and I'll conclude the presentation talking about the applications to professional practice. The first part of my presentation centers on critical findings from my recent study in New Directions for Higher Education, where we explored the role of academic advising in cultivating a sense of belonging among community college athletes of color. Now, before I talk about my study, I want to recognize that community college students bring a wide range of strengths, experiences, and aspirations that reflect the complexity of their lived experiences both inside and outside the classroom. Many are deeply embedded in their communities while balancing work responsibilities, family care, and educational goals such as completing transfer pathways or advancing their careers. For many community college students who may be adult learners, working professionals, or non traditional students, they may encounter structural and organizational challenges from course scheduling conflicts to issues with financial aid distribution that can complicate their progress towards their goals. In this context, relational and intentional academic advising becomes a critical form of institutional support. By helping students navigate through these complexities, advising services uh, is not only produces equity as in practice, but it also serves as a cornerstone of student success. So going back to the study on academic advising, what we did was we employed a sequential explanatory mixed method design that leveraged data from the Community College Survey of Student Engagement, which yielded a large sample size of 1,736 community college athletes from 155 two-year institutions. To further explore the quantitative findings, we conducted a trio autoethnography, taking a collaborative approach with two other colleagues who they themselves were former collegiate athletes. So, for our quantitative analysis, what we revealed was that athletes who work with an academic advisor and created an advising plan reported a much stronger sense of campus belonging. Importantly, the relationship was not just simply the interaction itself. Instead, the relationship was mediated by meaningful increases in the perceptions of having a supportive campus and climate. Essentially, by forming an advising plan, it not only boosted their genuine sense of belonging to campus, but it also was strengthened by having that relationship to feeling that they were supported at their institution. Now, to bring these findings to life, the qualitative portion of our study, captured the lived experiences of both advisors and athletes. For example, one colleague reflected that good advising felt like being in a team huddle, that it was a moment to come together, to strategize, and to build confidence to face not just academic challenges, but personal circumstances as well. The advisor, myself, and my other colleagues, we described that when we can see that a student feels connected, that there was a noticeable shift in how they perceive their identity and their roles at the institution. At the same time, my collegiate athlete colleagues recalled moments when trust was harder to build due to racialized experiences or feelings of isolations by being at a predominantly white institution. Yet, when advising included representation, empathy, holistic support, Those same spaces became sites of empowerment and persistence. Thus, these findings underscore that advising is not merely transactional, rather, that it's collaborative and that holistic advising creates the foundation for students, not just collegiate athletes, but many students who navigate multiple identities from various cultural backgrounds to feel welcome and invested in their community colleges. Now, while our sample focused on athletes of color, the pathways established are supported by extended research as beneficial for community college students broadly. One is that frequent academic advising does increase retention, credit completion, and college GPA. Research also shows that early engagement, especially in the first semester, also increases persistence from semester to semester. And that having tailored academic advising, especially at the developmental level, benefits not just the general student population, but it also helps students who may be enrolled in dual enrollment and early college high school programs, adult learners or non traditional students, and first generation students. And that by building academic advising through a cultural navigation lens, it not only boosts belonging, but it also demystifies the hidden curriculum within higher education. Now, I'd like to transition to the second part of my presentation, which I will illustrate how the research on academic advising and student belonging can be directly integrated into courses offered at Texas A&M University Corpus Christi. In one such class can be done in EDLD 6304, Community College and University Administration. From my understanding, this course examines the history, organization, and the development of American higher education with a focus on how community colleges and universities complement each other and serve their communities. One way that this research can be implemented is to connect these themes to real world leadership by centering the role of academic advising not just as a student support service, but as a strategic lever for institutional effectiveness. In my classroom, I would frame academic advising as an institutional strategy that bridges organizational structure, student engagement, and community impact. We would analyze case studies, including my own research, to explore how collaborative academic planning and relationship driven advising can drive retention, completion, and a sense of belonging for diverse student populations. To move from theory to practice, I would engage with my students, many of whom might be current or aspiring program directors, assistant directors, mid level managers, or academic advisors. And I would do so in an applied leadership activity called Advising for Belonging, which I will discuss in the next slide. So, how this activity will be constructed and would be implemented is that first, the objective of the exercise is to allow students to be grouped by their professional roles or closely related roles, and they will be asked to review key research findings on advising and belonging based on assigned readings that were prepared for class. Each group will analyze their own department or institution's current advising structures. They will then identify strengths and gaps related to student engagement and belonging. By doing so, they will design a targeted intervention, such as a new advising model, a collaborative planning session, or a cross campus partnership to ultimately enhance belonging and student success. Excuse me. By allowing students to be in groups, they will be able to outline, an implementation plan while identifying relevant key stakeholders. They will also be able to identify barriers that may occur and propose metrics for success. Additionally, they will be asked to develop an evaluation plan explaining how they will measure and assess the effectiveness of their proposed intervention using both quantitative and qualitative indicators to assess impact over time. Finally, each group will be able to present their proposal to the class, simulating a pitch to institutional leadership and receive constructive peer feedback. Now, the result of this applied learning activity will lead to key performance indicators and outcomes as follows. First, I want my students to analyze the impact of academic advising on campus youth engagement and identify how these approaches can be further advanced. Second, I want students in my class and across the program to evaluate and critique current advising models in their own professional context, and that by identifying these gaps and needs for the students. Third, they will be able to develop a research-informed intervention or policy proposal to enhance belonging and success. They will also be able to gain valuable skills in collaboration amongst peers who may be from different functional areas or job titles, and that by practicing their communication and leadership skills, this will be able to translate to real-world change and to create viable solutions. And finally, they will be able to gain the ability to justify their proposals using evidence-based practices, aligning their work with institutional and equity goals. By implementing and embedding this kind of applied research-driven activity in courses like EDLD 6304, students not only deepen their understanding of higher education systems, but they will also build the practical skills to lead change, ensuring that academic advising is not just a support service, but a cornerstone of student and institutional success. For the final part of my presentation, I want to focus on how practitioner scholars, whether they are program directors, advisors, mid-level managers, can apply these research-based insights to address real-world challenges in community colleges settings. Now, in order to do so, I'm going to be bridging the research to real-world changes. First and foremost, research supports that academic advising is not just a strategic tool for driving student success, but that it shows that advisors who work with students to create and develop these personalized academic plan can lead to greater student success and sense of belonging at their institutions and eventually lead to graduation. But how do we translate these findings into practice? Well, one method is to adopt a holistic and proactive advising model. Community colleges may consider moving beyond the transactional, advising approach, where students are meeting their class requirements towards earning their degree, but instead moving to a relationship-driven model where there is regular check-ins, goal-setting planning, opportunities that are created to help the students navigate through higher education, and ongoing support tailored to the students' needs and strengths. Second is to reduce advisor caseloads. By keeping the advisor caseload smaller, they can build deeper and genuine relationships with the students that they are working with. And that through these interactions, they're able to track student progress more intentionally and effectively, thus being able to provide interventions early when challenges arise. Thirdly is the integration of data and assessments. While utilizing institutional data to identify students who may be at risk is helpful, it is more to provide opportunities to monitor student outcomes and for the initiatives that are being developed and implemented to continuously be improved with new practices. Advisors may need to leverage these assessment tools to guide students to set clear goals and expectations and to provide targeted feedback. Additionally, is to foster a culture of belonging. Advisors and leaders, especially at community colleges, may want to consider creating an intentionally welcoming, inclusive environment in which students can feel safe to cultivate help seeking behaviors, that they are able to celebrate their diverse identities, and that the various roles that they bring into colleges are respected and valid. And that by doing so, they can then effectively connect these students to campus resources and possibly to peer mentors. Next is going to be collaboration across campus. In my experience as an academic advisor, many advising centers tend to be siloed. So instead of having disconnected offices, let's develop effective advising practices where that requires partnerships amongst not just advising units, but also amongst faculty and community organizations. By working together, practitioners can address barriers to engagement, potential issues to advancing from developmental education and prerequisite sequencing, and build community relationships, ensuring that advising is an integral part of the broader mission of the community college. And lastly, professional development, providing opportunities for advisors and advising units to be able to attend professional conferences, workshops that are centered on strength based, culturally responsive advising practices ensures that these advisors are culturally aware of the students' needs and help them be able to achieve their goals and aspirations. In summary, what I want to highlight is that I am able to lead the next generation of practitioner scholars in being able to design, implement, and assess advising initiatives that are not just evidence based or data driven, but that they are equity minded and responsive to the needs of the community college student populations. And by doing so, I will be able to help our students ensure that they are able to provide the support necessary and to have the sub efficacy to help our students regardless of background, and to be able to gain that greater sense of belonging needed to persist through higher education and to transition possibly from community colleges to four-year universities. Overall, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to engage and to share my presentation on how my research connects to my teaching and professional practice. I hope I have the opportunity to work with the graduate students, but also to work with the faculty within the Department of Educational Leadership at Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi. Thank you.